Across the world, seeds have always been at the heart of farming. For thousands of years, farmers saved a portion of their harvest to plant again the next season, slowly improving crops through natural selection and shared knowledge. Yet, in the modern era, something strange and often frustrating has happened. Many farmers today are not legally allowed to take seed from their own fields and use it the following year. Instead, they must purchase fresh seed every planting season. To the casual gardener, this sounds unbelievable, but the truth is tied to the history of seed ownership, plant breeding, and the legal frameworks that control agriculture today. Understanding this issue not only helps explain why farming looks the way it does now, but also sheds light on how home gardeners can make informed choices about their own seeds and soil health. Seed saving was once the most natural part of farming. A family would harvest their crops, select the best ears of corn, the largest beans, or the most productive heads of wheat, and set them aside for planting the following year. Over generations, this practice developed land races, local crop varieties that were uniquely adapted to each climate and soil. These seeds represented centuries of farmer-led improvement. In some regions, farmers even exchanged seeds with neighbors, strengthening resilience by increasing diversity. This was farming independence in its purest form, where the seed and the soil were always connected. The shift began in the late 1800s and accelerated in the 20th century with plant breeding and hybridization. Scientists discovered that crossing two carefully selected parent plants produced hybrid seed with much stronger yields, uniform growth, and disease resistance. These hybrids became popular quickly because they often doubled or even tripled production compared to traditional varieties. But there was a catch. The genetic advantage of hybrids worked only in the first generation. If farmers saved seed from hybrid crops and replanted it, the next generation of plants would lose vigor, produce less, and often revert to weaker traits. This biological limitation gave seed companies a built-in advantage. Farmers needed to buy fresh seed each year if they wanted consistent high yields. As plant breeding expanded, new laws were introduced to protect the rights of breeders and companies. By the mid-20th century, intellectual property rights were being applied to living plants. Seeds became not just a natural resource, but also a patented product. Today, many commercial seeds are protected by patents and plant variety protection laws. This basically means that when a farmer purchases seed, they're not actually buying unlimited rights to use it forever. Instead, what they're getting is a license to grow just one crop with those seeds. Saving that seed and replanting it would, well, be considered a violation of the breeder's rights. This is especially strict with genetically modified seeds, which are, patented in almost all cases. Farmers sign contracts agreeing not to replant harvested seed, and companies actively monitor compliance. Even non-genetically modified hybrids fall into this system because their genetics break down in the second generation, making replanting both legally restricted and biologically impractical. For farmers, the combination of law and plant biology pretty much locks them into buying seed every single season. For companies, this ensures continued revenue and protects years of investment in breeding. The debate about seed ownership often focuses on economics and law, but there is also a soil story here. Traditional seed saving produced varieties that co-evolved with local soils. Each season of replanting strengthened traits that matched specific conditions, whether heavy clay, sandy loam, or high-altitude fields. These seeds were tied to the soil's microbiology and mineral profile, resulting in a harmony that, honestly, took centuries to develop. Modern hybrids, while powerful in yield, are often bred for universal performance rather than local adaptation. They respond best under conditions with high fertility and consistent management. This means more pressure on farmers to amend their soils with fertilizers, irrigation, and pesticides. The seed-soil relationship has shifted from mutual adaptation to a dependency on external inputs. For gardeners, this is where the lesson becomes personal. Saving open-pollinated seeds from your own plot not only preserves independence, but also gradually tunes your crops to your soil's unique microbial life and nutrient balance. Over a few years, those seeds become more resilient in your specific conditions. For those working on a smaller scale than commercial agriculture, the opportunity to save seeds is still very much alive. The key is to choose the right type of seed. Open-pollinated and heirloom varieties remain free for saving and replanting. Unlike hybrids, these varieties reproduce true to type, meaning the next generation will closely resemble the parent plant. This allows gardeners to create their own seed banks at home. A practical method is simple. When growing tomatoes, for example, select the healthiest, most productive plants and mark them. From those plants, choose a few ripe fruits at the end of the season. Remove the seeds, ferment them in water for 2 to 3 days to remove the gelatinous coating, then rinse and dry them thoroughly before storing. For beans, it is even easier. Just leave the pods to dry right on the plant, then shell them and store the seeds in airtight jars. Over the years, these saved seeds will quietly adjust to your soil's microbes, temperature shifts, and rainfall patterns. Ratios also matter. For corn, saving seed requires at least 200 plants to avoid inbreeding depression. For lettuce or peppers, a handful of plants is enough. These practical steps reconnect the gardener to the ancient rhythm that modern farming has largely lost. Not all seeds behave the same way. If you attempt to save seed from a hybrid, honestly, the results will be disappointing. Plants may produce unevenly, taste poorly, or yield far less than the parent generation. Cross-pollination is another challenge. If you grow multiple varieties of squash, they can easily cross with each other, resulting in unpredictable offspring. Proper spacing or intentional isolation is needed if you want to maintain pure varieties. Finally, storage is critical. Seeds must be kept dry, cool, and protected from pests. Even the best seed will fail if stored in a humid or overheated environment. The question of whether farmers should be able to replant their own seed remains controversial. Supporters of seed patents argue that without protection, companies would not invest decades into developing new varieties that feed billions of people. Critics argue that seed sovereignty, the right of farmers to control their own seeds, is a foundation of food security that has been eroded. For soil health, this debate links directly to sustainability. When seeds are tied to external inputs, soils often become secondary, propped up by fertilizers rather than nurtured by natural adaptation. When seeds are saved and selected, soils and seeds grow together, creating resilient systems. For gardeners, the lesson is clear. The freedom to save seed is also the freedom to rebuild soil naturally. The story of why farmers cannot legally replant their own seeds is more than a legal puzzle. It is the story of how agriculture shifted from independence to dependence, from soil-adapted traditions to standardized global crops. Yet for the home gardener, the old ways remain open. Saving seeds from your own soil not only reduces costs but also builds resilience and restores the forgotten partnership between plant and earth. If this deep dive into the hidden world of seeds and soil has given you new perspective, take a moment to subscribe to Soil and Plant Doctor and share this video with others. Together we can keep this knowledge alive, helping gardeners and farmers reconnect with the foundations of soil, seed, and true independence.